Hello friends and welcome back to the channel, where today I'm going to walk you through how I completed both sides of the brand new Alliance War Showcase quest for the Fantastic Four saga. We're going to start off today on the left side path, which is generally the easier one. It has fewer tactic defenders than the right side path. That being said, there are a couple of shared fights at the start of the quest, so we'll cover those first. First up, we have this Warlock here with Encroaching Stun. Serpent is a really good option for this fight. With Encroaching Stun, it's really kind of dependent on the defender AI a bit, and the worst thing that can happen is the defender throwing their special attack and the stun timer going off in the middle of it. And that's again what makes Serpent so good, because he is stun immune during the defender's special attacks. In addition, he has that power gain buff that comes up every so often, so he almost always has a special attack available. Now, Warlock is Cold Snap immune, so with Serpent specifically, you want to focus on your Special 2, and that's going to do a bit of extra damage because he has that armor up buff. If you need to throw the Special 1 to avoid getting stunned, it's perfectly fine. It's just not going to do as much damage as it normally would against somebody who is not immune to Cold Snap. This is a very simple fight, an easy way to gain a charge for Serpent later. You'll see me use him once or twice again on this path, so having those additional persistent charges just makes him a better attacker overall. Alright, moving on to the second shared fight, we have a Karolina Dean here. Now, in this fight, when you crit, she gets a Fury buff, and if you crit too many times, I think it's 5, she gains a permanent glancing buff, and all of your attacks are going to glance. So, pretty much any Mystic is going to work fine in this fight. I really enjoy using Nico. She's one of my favorite champs. I think she's overall the best Mystic in the game right now, and she is a fantastic counter to Karolina. Now, you might not have noticed, but I did activate the Unworthy pre-fight for this fight. That activates the buff immunity debuff at the start of the fight. So you can basically just keep buff immunity up for the entire fight, and, you know, she can easily take care of Karolina here. You don't even have to worry about the power gain or any of the stuff that she has going on. Really simple fight. Alright, next up we have a Tigra, one of the few tactic defenders on this path. We're going to go in here with Torch on this run, and you notice that I did not activate my Flame On pre-fight. That was intentional. So the way that the tactic works here is that when you gain a buff, or if you place a debuff, that's what's going to pause those power detonations on you, giving you enough time to build up to your special attack and safely remove them. If you use the Flame On pre-fight, all of your Incinerates become Nova Flames, and those are passive effects and not debuffs. So you get much more uptime on the pause with Torch if you do not activate the pre-fight. So you will get to Nova form, you know, periodically here because, you know, you're fighting a Mystic attack or defender, but you can see that you're doing plenty of damage just with the Incinerates on their own. The fight might take like a couple seconds longer, but, you know, it's Torch against a Mystic. It's not going to be that bad. Yeah, so I think I took a special one to the face there, but other than that, this is a pretty simple fight if you're okay with her special attacks. I do my best not to push her to a special 2 here because I can't do the full dex on it. So, all right, moving on, we have a Sauron here, probably the easiest fight on the left side, and you can likely use anybody that you already have available on your team for this fight. I'm going to go in here with Spider-Woman, but you saw me flip back and forth between Serpent. He would have worked fine here as well. So the node here that you want to watch out for is Fisticuffs. It disables all buffs and debuffs on both champions for the first 30 seconds of the fight. So you notice we're not getting our Furies here, and we're not placing any of our debuffs on Sauron himself. So for the first 30 seconds of this fight, you're really just kind of relying on raw damage. And if you kind of need to just stall until Fisticuffs ends, that is a perfectly acceptable strategy. So we are dealing, like, you know, an okay amount of damage here. He has some regen, but we're just kind of waiting until Fisticuffs is over, which it is now. Then we can start building up our Furies. We can start placing those Debilitates and the Power Stings on him. So no matter who you go in here with, just be aware that you won't really start to ramp up any of your damage, any of your rotations, any of your abilities until the first 30 seconds of the fight is over. I think the reason I didn't end up going in here with Serpent is because Serpent only gets that Fury buff at the start of the fight, and with Fisticuffs, it won't work, and he won't be able to get it back. He would have been totally fine without it, though. I mean, he ramps up his damage pretty fast, and I referenced I already had one of those persistent charges from using him on a previous fight, but pretty much anybody works here. You don't need to bring a specific champ just for Sauron. You don't need to bring a heal block champion or anything. If you are comfortable dexing his special 1, that's really all you need to know about this fight. What else did I want to think of? Don't bring somebody who bleeds. He punishes bleed pretty badly. And I think he is poison immune too, so you probably don't want to use anybody who relies heavily on poison. Alright, moving on to Gentle. This is probably the most annoying fight on the left side, and Serpent works for this fight. I probably would not recommend that you go in here with Serpent. So the main problem with fighting Gentle here is that he goes unstoppable on every 15 hits. And it's difficult to get, reliable parries in because of the Conflictor node. So you're going to see me play this fight very, very poorly, and Gentle is, he'll start kicking my butt pretty good here in just a little bit. Ideally, you want to do what I just did there, is try and get him stunned and then hit him on the 15th hit so that you can safely back off when he goes unstoppable. I do a really bad job of counting my hits here. I think I take a special to the face here. I just played this really, really poorly. This is a fight where I would definitely recommend you probably bring one of the alternate attackers that I have listed up in the top right corner there. So Sentinel, Iceman, Warlock, and Isophyne, all four of those champs have both of the necessary immunities for the Hazard Shift node. So Serpent has the Cold Snap immunity, but he just reduces the duration of bleed, so he is going to take a little bit of bleed damage. The other one that I mentioned up there is Karolina. We send Karolina to fights on this node quite a bit. She can just basically nuke through it. It's not too much of an issue. But I would recommend, if you have one of the first four champs, you should probably bring one of them. Isophyne in particular, we send to this node all the time. We see Thanos on this node, or Maestro on this node, or sometimes even Serpent himself here. Isophyne cleans it up. She has both immunities. Her Wither is a passive effect, so it won't trigger Conflictor, and that handles the power gain that you get from Conflictor when you try and stun. Alternatively, what you can do is, if you really have room for a white Magneto on your team and you're using a metal or hero champion, you can place a white Magneto pre-fight here, and then you can safely stun Gentle without having to worry about Conflictor. That's also a really good strategy that we use sometimes in our own alliance when we do war fights here. So you can see I am down to the last 1%. I've triggered death immunity. We still have quite a bit to go on Gentle here. I warned you. This was a pretty messy fight, and I was supremely lucky to get out of here without dying here. So the regen came up strong. We're back up to 15% here, and I think the special 2 ends up KOing him. Fortunately, I wasn't planning on using Serpent for another fight. So, all right, next up we have a Galan here. We're going to be using Nico here. We already used our buff immunity pre-fight, so we have to work up to the buff immunity here naturally, which is very, very easy. We start off with a bar of power from one of the nodes, and we're going to play into combat deja vu, so parry, light, medium, light, medium. Once we get up to above 2 bars of power, fire off the special 2, and that will trigger buff immunity, and at this point the fight is basically over. Now from here we just need to fire off special 1s to keep buff immunity active. We can go ahead and ignore combat deja vu with the buff immunity active, because those intensify buffs will just get eaten by the buff immunity and trigger additional poisons. So you can see again, she's stacking up, she had as much as 20 plus poisons on him at one point. Yeah, this is the power of Nico. Even if you have a 6-star ascended Nico, she is going to plow through the 2 fights that I used her with on this path. So really, really easy fight again with Nico, best mystic in the game. Alright, moving on, we have another shared fight here. This is Enchantress on node 48, so Safeguard is in effect. So you really want some type of burst damage, some type of damage over time. And then if you don't have access to bleed or shock, you cannot parry her at all, otherwise the stun will reflect onto you. And then you do have to manage the Bane timer as well. So Spider-Woman, again, a really good Enchantress counter, one of the best Enchantress counters in the game to begin with. She really, counters this node particularly well, because her power stings will bypass Safeguard. So you have a lot of leeway fighting Enchantress with Spider-Woman, because her debilitates will counteract some of her spells. So if you can't get some of Enchantress's spells down, those debilitates will kind of cover you and protect you from that damage reflection that she will send your way. So just play this pretty much like a normal Enchantress fight. Pay attention to the spells. perform the necessary actions to remove them. Don't worry too much about, trying to do like sneaky blind intercepts before she gets a bar power, because again, you'll be covered with those debilitates. That's pretty much it. I don't bother going for the special 2 in this fight, mostly because the Furies aren't really going to do much for me with Safeguard in effect. I really wanted to focus on the power stings. That's where the majority of my damage is going to come from. But if you know how to use Spider-Woman, if you know how to fight Enchantress, you shouldn't have too many problems with this fight. Alternate options here, Joaquin, another really, really good Enchantress counter. Void, also really good for this node in particular. Torch, again, if you have Torch, you can probably use your pre-fight here. And Count Nefaria will also work just fine. Alright, moving on to the Peni Parker boss. You can see I have swapped in Galan, who is one of the best options for this fight. One of the best options for Peni Parker in the first place. You can basically play this just like a big duel. She is going to be building up those resistance passives, but I believe that Galan's harvest damage is direct. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's direct damage and will bypass all of those resistance passives. So you really just need to play this again normally. If you hit into her auto block or her block, you're going to be building up additional planetary mass. You are immune to the power burn if she triggers the auto block, so you are really, really safe here. You can see we've already maxed out our own resistance buffs. Got a few of those Furies going here. And then I'm just trying to look for a good opportunity to heavy right here. We've triggered the harvest, and now before her shield comes back, we're going to go ahead, fire off a special 1. This does, I think, about half of her health, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we end up needing, I think, 3 total harvests in order to KO her. And this is a rank 3 Galan. If you were lucky enough to have a rank 4 Galan, you probably only need 2 harvests, because I think his damage is like a flat value. So it is going to be, either 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah, so while the rest of this fight kind of runs, it's pretty much doing, do the same thing, rinse and repeat. Get her shield down, build up your planetary mass, heavy to start the harvest, use a special to end the harvest. And what I wanted to mention before this fight ends is kind of how I'm going to approach the rest of this video here. So after this, we're going to go into the right side path, but unlike previous walkthroughs that I've done for the Alliance War Showcase quests, I am not going to show like repeated fights or fights that I did with the same attacker, because I really don't think there's much value in just showing them again. So I'm going to skip the fights on the right side path that I did with the same attacker, and we'll cover the other ones. And then I ended up doing like 1.5 other runs with like a whole different team. And I do want to show those fights as well, because I do think there is some value in showing off, not just saying that there are different, alternate attackers available for these fights, but actually showing you what those attackers look like in practice here. So this video probably looks a lot longer to you than a normal walkthrough for this type of quest, but that's because I'm kind of putting in the extra work to show you additional options for these fights. Alright, so that is the left side path done. We're going to hop right into the right side path here. We're going to skip the Warlock fight and move right into Karolina, and this time we're going to be using Rintrah on the right side. But again here, most Mystics are going to do just fine here. You really just need a champion who can either prevent or remove consistently all of the buffs that Karolina is going to get. And yeah, so like the mentions I had there, again, you saw me use Nico. Rintrah works fine here. Hood is also fine. Tigra is fine. You probably want to avoid Wiccan because Karolina is Incinerate immune, but most Mystics with access to some sort of Nullify or Fate Seal or what have you are going to be fine. Even like a 6-star Clairvoyant will probably work totally fine here. Yeah, so Rintrah is a bit slower compared to Nico. It's just because Nico kind of slaughters Karolina in most matchups here. But you can see, we're keeping the neutralize up on her. That is preventing a lot of Karolina's buffs, and if we happen to crit, most importantly, it's preventing the Fury buffs from the Rage node here. Another thing to worry about in this fight is that Rise to Power node. So I think that's the one where if you knock her down, hits into your block are going to give her power, so you really just do need to be careful about it. I don't think I managed that very well in this fight with Rintrah. You can see it, like at some point I basically stopped knocking her down, so I'm letting myself sit here at the special 3, and I'm kind of relying on just my basic attacks and those tiny ruptures to kind of carry the day here, because I noticed the power gain was getting a little bit out of control here. But yeah, it's fine. The fight takes a little bit longer than normal because you can't really play, very much into Rintrah's playstyle without using the, big special 2s or whatever. But it's totally fine. He has the utility of the neutralize, and that's really the most important part. About doing this fight here. Can't remember if I, try and KO her with a special 3. I think I just save it and don't use it at all here. So. All right, on the right side, we're going to move on to Mordo. These are all tactic defenders here from here on out. Mordo, very, very easy fight here. Has a node called Ebb and Flow Knockdown, so you knock him down to remove protection. During that period, you get like a Fury passive, and then when protection comes back, all debuffs are purified and the Fury goes away. The key word here is purified, because since it actually is a purify, the Ebb and Flow node will not be able to remove the severe debuffs that Spider-Woman places. So it'll remove the Ensnare, it'll remove the Debilitates, but the Fumble and the Power Stings will stick around if he happens to have any on him. You can basically play this just like any Mordo fight. Watch out for the power gain. Remember that defenders in this quest do have like all of the masteries maxed out, so you should expect a 50% chance of him resisting your heavy in the corner if you're trying to hit him while he's got that power gain up. So you got to really pay attention to that, because if he resists your heavy in the corner, he's probably going to punish you right away. But other than that, Mordo is very, very easy. Even if the power gain does become problematic, he gets to that special 3, it doesn't really do much damage. All right, moving on, we have the Maker here on node 14, which is another Ebb and Flow knockdown fight. We're going to go in here with Serpent here because we get easy and quick access to that True Focus buff with our first special attack, and that's going to prevent all of Maker's evade effects from triggering here, which is really, really nice. So in general, when you fight Maker, you want to try and avoid the special 1 because it places that mine on the field. The mine doesn't do like barely any damage, so like if he places the mine, it's not that big of a deal. You can safely walk over it, and you're going to take like a little bit of chip damage here. But if you can push him to the special 2, that's preferable, because you can just stand out of the way, wait for him to slam his fist down, and punish him is really, really easy. Yeah, again, Ebb and Flow Knockdown, very, very easy node set for Serpent, just because he has access to so many special attacks. He can constantly remove the protection by knocking them down. You can freely parry the Maker in this fight too, so if you want to knock him down with a heavy attack and then go right into a special attack, that's perfectly fine as well. You can see we have a persistent charge on Serpent, again from that earlier Warlock fight, so we're able to get a bit more damage out of him. But this is a pretty straightforward fight here. I am playing to avoid the mine just because, like, in the moment, my instinct is to avoid chip damage. But again, like I said, the mine does barely any damage. It's not too dangerous. Even if you let him like special 2 you into the mine, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Serpent has access to lots of buffs. So again, he's keeping those power detonations at bay, and he's throwing so many specials that you're able to clear those power detonation passes like very, very easily here. So this ends up being a very straightforward fight. Nothing much else to say. Plenty of good options for this as well if you don't have a Serpent on your roster. All right, moving on, we have a Rintrah. This is up on path 2 in the Alliance War map on section 2. So basically, this is just a heal reversal fight. So if you have access to any of the champions I have listed on screen, Leader, iBom, Nefarious, Sandman, they can do this fight very, very quickly. So you also have access to the Mr. Fantastic pre-fights here, as you can see, so extra Petrify for extra heal reversal. So with Leader here, you just want to spam your special 1, and once you have a bunch of Spectres up, you want to dash back multiple times to forcibly trigger that regen passive, and you can see Rintrah absolutely melting away here with his regen being reversed here. So this was what, like a 30-second fight? It is pretty much that short with any good heal reversal options, so probably the easiest fight on this side of the path. This is probably the most annoying fight on the right side. I am so trash at fighting Solvarch. I can't get any of his specials. His specials look the same to me, like at the very start, so I never know which one I'm dexing. I take so many hits in this fight. I would say that Serpent definitely not a great option here. Like, you know, so right there, like he's got the bulwark, so I tried to fire my special too. It did not go unblockable, and I ended up just wasting it. You need to focus on the special 2 in this fight with Serpent because he is going to heal up from energy damage, and the Cold Snap will end up healing him. In addition, you don't have any way of preventing or removing Solvarch's armors in this fight, and that eventually becomes problematic because he turns those armor ups into those purple energized passives. So even though his combat power rate is supposed to be very low, above 2 bars of power from Power Focus 2, he ends up getting like it's very easy to push him to a special 3 in this fight if you don't have a way of preventing or removing armors. So, you know, Serpent works similar to the gentle fight that I showed you earlier. You're basically just getting through this fight because Serpent is so strong. But if you have one of the other options that I have listed at the top of the screen, probably overall better. Scream, you'll see Scream do this fight later on in the video much more easily and much faster than Serpent's able to do it. I think I've seen people use Galan for this fight. You might already have Galan on your team for the Peni boss. He should work fine here. Odin should also work, and Superior Iron Man has access to armor breaks, so he should be able to work for this as well. So yeah, just taking special after special to the face here. I think I do end up triggering death immunity again in this fight, but like I said, like this is just a fight where you're winning because Serpent is so ridiculously powerful. Right there, it was the steadfast, not the bulwark, that caught me on that special 2 here. So my block proficiency is absolutely in the toilet because I've taken so many blocked hits. Yeah, just an absolute mess of a fight. Again, I am not good at fighting Solvarch. I avoid fighting him. There we go. Triggered death immunity. I end up killing him with the special 3 here, which is totally fine. Again, I don't need Serpent for another fight here, so all I needed to do was survive. By the way, I'm not boosted for any of these fights. I normally am, but I had the 6-hour war boosts running, and I didn't want to replace them with like the normal boosts, so these are all effectively unboosted fights. All right, so that's the end of the right side path. Now I'm going to show you some alternate fights for both sides of the quest here. So we're going to start off with Phoenix against Warlock. Phoenix is a very good tactic attacker. She has access to many buffs, many debuffs. So again, the only thing that you really need to worry about in this matchup is just managing that encroaching stun timer. And she also has access to a good amount of power gain with throwing repeated specials. She can also, she also has access to that lengthy passive stun, so she can really stall out some of that encroaching stun timer when she needs to. Really need Warlock to throw his special 2 here. There we go. So we're going to go in here and combo, I think. Okay. We're gonna ramp up all of our Furies here and use the special 2 to cancel out encroaching stun. So now we're fully ramped. We've got 8 of the 9 Furies here. And you can see just, how much damage we're doing when we're charging our heavy next to him. We're getting those instant incinerates here. I think at this point, since we're already ramped, we're going to go full special 2 only here. Combo into the striker, into the other combo. And then again, we're able to kind of stall the timer so that we can fire off his special in time. I don't think the special 3 ends up killing him outright, but I probably could have killed him if I did one combo into a heavy charge here. I played it safe, definitely didn't need to do that, and I think one more combo ends up killing him here. So again, Phoenix, a very, very good tactic attacker, good option for this fight, and a couple others as well. All right, next up we have the Karolina again. We're going to be using Purgatory here. Purgatory again, she works fine. She's got access to an eventual 100% neutralize, so a bit of a gamble in this fight with Purgatory that if you happen to crit too many times before she gets that neutralize going, you can definitely end up triggering the glance buff. But given that this is only the second fight on the path, if that happens, you could probably just restart the quest because the Warlock fight is like not that difficult, right? But you are going to be gaining neutralizes pretty quickly here just because Karolina has access to so much power gain from being in the sun and whatnot. She gains so many bars of power, you're going to get those neutralizes up pretty quickly here. So we're already at 40% total neutralize. We are pretty much going to stay in demonic rampage for the rest of the fight here. Dropping those degens. You see we're just climbing up in that neutralized potency. There we go. We had to block that. Luckily, she wasn't in the sun when she threw that special 2. Although it might have eaten the unblockable buff. Who knows here? I don't think I used Purgatory for another fight on this side, so we really just need to get through it. But like I said, you know, on both other instances of this fight, pretty much any decent Mystic works fine here. Alright, next up we're going to go over to Tigra again. This time we're going to be using iBom instead of Torch. I have the energy resist stat focus. That's a mistake. That should probably just be something else. But again, you kind of want to just play this the same way that you did with Torch. Parry, light, medium, to avoid the combat deja vu node. And you're relying heavily on just iBom's really, really strong access to damage over time. I think that I waste too much time. You know, I give her so much power in this fight. I should be throwing my special ones more frequently. I'm trying to work myself up to a special 2 without taking too much power detonation damage. So I do end up taking like a nice chunk of damage in this fight. I think I could probably play it better if I tried again here. So you really want that Petrify up early so that you can help manage her power gain from Mystic Dispersion. But again, you really want to get that acid burn thing going as quickly as possible because that's where the bulk of your damage is going to come from. You can easily counter her special 1 with a light combo, right as I'm doing here. So you can go like right into light, medium, and then throw your special if you need to. The Petrify, again, helping keep that Mystic Dispersion under control. She's being very cooperative with her special attacks. So once you've got that acid burn thingamajigger on yourself, you can just spam special 1s. Again, I took a lot of unnecessary damage in this fight. This is only a rank 3 iBom. If yours is higher ranked, you probably do a lot better. Alright, we're back at Sauron here on the left side. This is where I stopped after this fight. I don't think I went through Gentle. But again, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of who else you could use for some of these fights. So remember, this fight has fisticuffs, so we're not going to be able to have access to any of Phoenix's buffs. And we're not going to be able to place any Incinerates on Sauron as well until that orange timer is up. So at the start of the fight here, we're just kind of just doing what we can, doing normal combos. The passive stun would still work, but given that we can't place any Incinerates, there's really no point in using it. Right there, I dumped power for my special 1 because I saw that Fisticuffs was about to be over. So now kind of the fight is actually starting, right? So we're just going to pretend like the fight just started. Full combo into the heavy charge here, placing Incinerates, cancel the heavy release into the special 1, start ramping up our Fury buffs. And again, to fully ramp Phoenix, you want to do 3 special 1s, and that's going to give you a ton of power gain, and then you want to fire a special 2 before you hit the special 3. If you hit the special 3 and you use the special 3, it kind of, you know, deletes all of your ramp. So you really need to pay attention to the power gain here. That is our second special 1 here, so you can see the power gain already pushed us up to another one. Going to fire off our third special 1. See the power gain going, firing off the special 2, which is unblockable. Now we are fully ramped. I can't see if it's 8 or 9 Furies. Either way, it's plenty of Furies at this point, and now he is going to absolutely start melting. I just love using Phoenix. Like any excuse I can find to break out Phoenix, she's just one of my most enjoyable champs to use. I find her very fun, very satisfying, very powerful, an excellent questing champ. She has access to so much damage, good hit damage, good instant damage, good regen, just a fantastic champ. Really, really good buff here. Definitely an R4 candidate for me if I can convince myself to skip over some of the more meta cosmic champions. So yeah, very, very easy fight. She finishes at a yellow bar. And then we're going to move over to the other side here. So brand new team. I actually did the entire right side of the quest with this team. We're going to start off with Warlock again here using Karolina. And again, similar to Phoenix, all you really need to know in this fight with her is just to have a special available when Encroaching Stun is about to trigger. And again, Karolina has access to so much power gain as long as you stay in the sun. It's very easy to make sure that you have a special available. Right there, we fire off the special 1 to get the Encroaching Stun timer off of us. And you can see her damage is very, very strong. I don't really need to tell you this. I'm sure that you know how good Karolina Dean is. And pretty much one more special 2 is going to finish him here. So I allow him to push me back into the sun here. I get the power gain from the special 2, and that ends up doing him in. That was like a 30 or 40 second fight, I think. All right, moving up to Karolina, we're going to be using Isophyne here. Isophyne is a very, very good option here. She has access to a whole bunch of Nullify on her light attacks and her special 1. Really, really easy to keep all of Karolina's buffs under control here. So we're actually going to start with the special 2. That puts the Wither on her. That'll protect us from the power gain when she's standing in the sun. You can see that we did get some Furies on her from that special 2. We got a couple of unlucky crits, I guess you could say. And now at this point what we're doing is we are ramping up our energy vulnerabilities by throwing multiple special 1s. And once we get up to 8, now we're going to throw our special 3. And that's going to place a degen passive on Karolina. And the potency of the degen, or the duration, I forget, one or both, is affected by those energy vulnerabilities. So you can see the degen is doing roughly 9,000 damage per second. So now we can basically just kind of chill, let the degen tick. It's going to last, for the rest of the fight and longer if we had needed it to. And we are pretty much set for the rest of the fight here. So Isophyne, very, very good option for this fight, as I've said, most Mystics will be. All right, moving on to the Mordo here. We're going to be using iBom for the Mordo. Ebb and Flow knockdown can be a little bit annoying with iBom here, because whenever protection returns, he is going to purify all the poisons. But it's really fine. I get incredibly lucky in this fight where I get Mordo to a special 3 here, right here, and he just decides not to do anything for like a good amount of time here. So I get lucky and blockable, fire off the special 2, and I think he still doesn't want to use the special 1, or the special 3 rather. I think it's only like after this special 1, I think he finally decides that he wants to use it. But like I said a couple minutes ago, that his special 3 does essentially no damage. So like I wasn't really afraid of it. It's fine. It just tickles a little bit. So we've got the acid burn stuff going, so the poisons are just piling up on him, getting that acid burn passive on him. He's resisting my heavies. I think that's the second or third time he did that in this fight. But again, easy fight. If he throws a special 3, who cares? It's fine. Alright, back up to the Maker here. We're going to be using Karolina Dean. No evade counter with Karolina, of course, but again, you're just kind of relying on her incredible amounts of damage in this fight here. I am less concerned about the mine in this fight than I was in the Serpent fight, so I think I do cross over it a couple times, but it's no big deal. I don't think I need Karolina for any other fights on this path, so it is what it is. Let him throw the special 1 here, dex that final blast there, sidestep into the special 1, doing a good amount of damage even though protection was up still. So I probably should have parried and heavied and then fire off the special 2, but again, Karolina's damage is just so good, it almost doesn't matter. So we're trying to get one more special 2 in before protection comes back. I failed to do so. I think I just combo right into the special 2 and he evades it, and it's not unblockable because I wasn't in the sun, so that's a big mistake on my part. Dodge another special 1 here. We are standing in the sun, so here I'm going to charge my heavy to get the knockdown from Ebb and Flow. We are in the sun, so we're getting that nice power gain going here. One more heavy in the sun here, and we get a good sun placement on the latter half there. Places the mine. We are still in the sun. I do a light attack to keep myself in there. Fire off the special 2 again, but again, protection was still up, so a couple of little mistakes here that if you don't make, the fight will go a lot faster for you. Back up here. One more special 2 should do it. and down he goes. So again, very, very easy fight, I think, with Karolina. All right, next up we have Rintrah. Again, a heal reversal fight here. iBom isn't, you know, a pure heal reversal champ, but since you have access to poison, which reduces healing, if you're running despair, that's going to reduce healing. Plus you have the Mr. Fantastic Petrify, which is going to do a lot. Plus you have your own Petrify. So, you know, iBom not necessarily thought of as a heal reversal champ, but he works totally fine here. I do make one mistake in this fight where I end up using a special against Rintrah while he's in the corner with a bunch of those cow charges or whatever he has. But if you don't make that mistake like I'm about to do, this fight will go a lot easier for you. I think I also mistime a dex on a special too, and I almost die. So yeah, once you get the acid burn stuff going, spam the special 1. That'll place the extra Petrify on him, and then you can intentionally trigger that regen like you see me doing here. And then, you know, he'll just kind of melt himself here. So right there, he punishes me and goes unstoppable here. I stupidly try and heavy him while he's unstoppable. And then here, I'm like, oh, I'll just fancy dex the special 2. Almost die, which is not good. You definitely don't want to die in a fight. Fire off the special 1, and I think I've already lost my Mr. Fantastic pre-fights. I think that Petrify... Oh, there we go. Okay, so, yeah, there we go. He ends up KOing himself. So play better than I did, and you'll be totally fine in that fight. Alright, here's that nasty Solvarch again. We're going to be using Scream. Scream has access to tons of armor breaks on her auto block. And her special 1 and all of her basic attacks for that matter. So it's very, very easy to keep Solvarch's abilities in check with Scream, or a champion like her who has access to that many armor breaks. So see us, you know, he's gaining some. We are removing them like right away. And that really keeps his energizes under control here. So we built up to the special 1. We got those fervors going. Now we're going to fire off the special 2 here, which does a really, really nice chunk of damage here. As you can see, Scream is just so good. Yeah, special 2, I can't get out of the way fast enough on these special attacks. I really need practice on how to fight Solvarch, or at least Dex's special attacks. Back to the special 1 to get more fervors going here. So special 1, special 2 is kind of what I like to do with Scream. We've got both of our energized buffs going, so our combat power rate is nice and high. Combo into the striker, and one more full combo doesn't quite get us to the special 2, so we beta heavy, and the special 2 ends up killing. So way easier than Serpent. If you have access to a Scream, she is probably the best counter to that fight. Here we are back at Enchantress. We're going to be using iBom just to show you that you can do this fight without like a really hard counter for Enchantress. You know, you don't have access to the debilitates with him, and you kind of just have to play the fight straight up, counter her spells. If you happen to take some of the damage back, it is what it is. You can heal up a bit if you're running willpower, because he has you know, permanent debuffs that he has on himself. One kind of downside of using iBom in any of these fights is that, again, the defenders are running all of the masteries, so they have inequity running too. So if you have debuffs on yourself, then your damage is going to end up being lower, and that's just the way it is in like a war situation anyway, so I'm kind of used to it, I guess. So we're just, and again, just kind of playing into the spells here. You know, dexing the special 1 when we need to, using the special 1 animation to see what spells she has next so that I can plan accordingly. That's something that I do when I fight Enchantress. But yeah, you know, we get the poisons going, we get the acid burn going. The Bane is working heavily in our favor now because we have more health than her, and she goes down very, very quickly. Alright, last but not least, we're going to show off the Peni boss with Venom here. Venom, I don't think, is a tactic champ, but he is so good for this fight that you will just kill her before the tactic becomes a problem here. So you still can remove the power detonations with your specials, but you cannot pause them with buffs or debuffs. So you basically just need to play this fight straight up. Again, it's like a big duel against a Peni. You know, break down her shield. If you hit into her shield, you're fine because Venom is power burn immune against tech champions. Yeah, fire off. Let her fire the special too, so she can get rid of those spider charges. That'll reduce her auto block chance. But you can see here, like, the bleeds are just so strong, especially if you have a nice Venom relic on your Venom. You can get through this fight. We've taken some damage here from the block, from the power detonations expiring, but it's like, you know, it's fine. It's very little damage at the end of the day. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. I hope all of this was helpful. I know this is a lot more than I normally do for a quest like this, where I show off, like, you know, essentially 3.5 to 4 total runs of the quest. But again, I wanted to make sure that I was showing not just, like, you know, the super meta attackers, but some alternate options that you might have on your roster as well. And I think this quest is tuned pretty well. So if you're, I'm using rank 3s, a couple rank 4s in this quest. If you have rank 2 7 stars, or even like ascended 6 stars, you should be fine. Just boost up. And again, I wasn't boosted in any of these fights, but just boost up and you'll be fine. That's going to do it. As always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.